Welcome to Horror on Trial. I'm Alex, and here we talk about the morality, choices, consequences, the cost of each choice in horror or horror-adjacent movies. And today we're going to talk about Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool. I watched this movie and I was inspired to do this for April because in the spirit of April Fools, there's a lot of foolery in this movie. I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to go with it. There is deeper themes in this movie about wealth and class and tourism. We're not going there today. It may be mentioned, but it's not going to be deep like that. This is going to be a debate episode about fooling others, being fooled, and who is the ultimate fool in this situation. So this is going to be full of spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch, come back, and let's talk about it.
I want it to be good.
Something I gotta do.
We don't know how much it costed yet.
We open up this movie on La Toca. I believe that is the resort. And there is a couple, a married couple, James and Emily. James is an author. He's written one book. I don't think he had much success with it, and he's looking for inspiration. He just seems totally checked out and miserable, to be fair. Emily, we learn, is the money maker. Their relationship, there's some dialogue at the beginning. It's definitely strained, and how this story plays out, I don't think they're a great couple, but they're the couple that we start with. The first act of foolery, I would say, is flattery. Emily wants to go to a Asian, I believe Chinese restaurant with James, and he's like, why would we want to go there? It's not going to be like true Chinese cuisine. I'm not going there.
Why would they have a Chinese place?
And shuts Emily down. I'm already like, okay, I don't know how I feel about you. There is an ATV situation on the beach. Apparently it is some of the citizens of this place they're in making a statement, but he learns this from Gabi.
One of the locals, I guess.
So Gabi introduces herself and she tells James that she has read his book and she loves his book.
I loved your book.
He is immediately lit up with joy. She immediately fools him, and we actually see how this conversation goes to his head. It feeds his ego. It feeds what he wants, because Gabi suggests that him and his wife meet her and her husband or boyfriend Alban at the Chinese restaurant. And James is like, yeah, we'll go. So already we're kind of seeing where he favors, where he puts his choices, the weight of his choices. He wouldn't go with his wife, who was on this trip supporting him, trying to find inspiration, and we learn paying for it. But because she stroked his ego, because he's interested in somebody who is interested in him, he agrees to go to dinner. And we don't find this out till later in the movie, but Gabi is actually fooling him completely here. There is real deception in this area. The deception of this is Gabi found out who he was, found out the information she needed about him to talk him up, sweeten him, so that he would become friends with them, so they could use him to get to their ultimate goal. James is so blinded, he doesn't doubt it for a second. This is a stranger. He is just happy to hear it. And at this point, James is a fool, and Gabi is knowingly fooling James. It's knowing deception. There's an interesting scene at this restaurant because Gabi says she does infomercials, and she's like, look, I can show you how good I am. And she's trying to use a knife that's not working. And on first watch, it was just kind of an odd scene, honestly. Maybe it was showing personality, but now I'm starting to think it shows how good of an actress she is, because she does put on an act, and we'll get to that. After this dinner, they agree to take a car off the resort, which, if you've ever traveled to resorts, is not always the best thing. You don't know where you are. You're taking a car. You could get into an accident. And Emily's a little bit like, we don't know these people. Should we be doing this? But they go. They take a long drive. They go out to this beach. It's just the four of them. They're drinking. They're eating. Do I want to talk about? There's a really gross shot in this. If you've seen the movie, which I hope you have, if you're this far in. Gabi does come up behind James when he is peeing and allows him to release something else onto the ground, and we see it. Okay, we're past that part. This is already alarming because James does not tell Emily He does not separate himself from the couple. But at the same time, they are together until something happens that is more of a priority than this, I would guess, to tell Emily. But part of me thinks that he enjoyed it. The way he was looking at her, the way he was looking at her in the disco. I think James likes the flattery, and Gabi continues to fool him. When they leave this beach, and keep in mind they've been drinking, so they probably should not be driving, especially not in a foreign country, they are not caring about the consequences. They think they're above them, which most people do when they put themselves in this situation. They think it'll never happen to me until it does. James drives, and there is something weird going on with the headlights. I will say there is a surreal aspect of this movie that we're not going to touch on here, but keep in mind there is some surreal things playing on. So when I take things at face value, maybe you think it doesn't happen or it's dreamlike or something. We're ignoring that for now. Something's going on with the lights, and he hits a farmer, a man, a civilian, and he hits him hard with that car. It's a hit, and guess what? They run. Gabi and Albin convince James and Emily, and I mean, they didn't have to twist their rubber arm or anything, that you don't know what they do to people out here that get in trouble. This is not going to be the justice system you are used to. We're going to drive away. We'll figure it out in the morning. Just don't say anything. We need to get back to the resort.
You are not getting picked up for this. Get back in the car now.
When they get back to the resort, we already learned they weren't supposed to be off this late, so they're already breaking rules. They don't care. Definitely a privilege thing. And the next morning, there's a knock at the door. The police. You've been arrested. A hit and run.
You have to come with us.
And the fact is, the morality of this choice in itself, yes, obviously you are worried about the consequences, you are worried about the issues. Gabi is like, he's already dead, just leave him. Hit and run is horrible, whether you are native to the country or not. So the fact that they prioritize themselves, this story, this debate, it's going to be hard to root for them. I'm not asking you to root for them. I'm just asking you to look at who is in control in the situation. Gabi takes control of the situation. James is out of control in the situation. He was control driving. He was control with his choices. Does Gabi fool him and flatter him? Yes. But he goes along with it. He has the ability to say no. And up until a little while, he does have that ability. We find out later in the movie that Gabi and Alvin, the reason they flattered him and did all of this and got them to be friends and said what they needed to say to make him feel good is because they did want him to commit a crime. But apparently, this was just a coincidence. Meant to be. The universe did it for them. And James didn't resist. He didn't make a choice. He didn't do what was right, so he fell right into the trap. And so did Emily, unfortunately. She is collateral damage in this, but I also think James is a wet mop, and maybe drop him if he's giving you this much grief or you don't agree with him. Yes, is he your husband? You love him, sure, but you are an individual. So make individual choices when you're put in like this kind of position, obviously. When they are arrested and they are brought to this very strange place and they are interrogated, we learn what this place offers them. What they offer the wealthy. For James to not be killed, for James to get away with this, it's a hefty price. Emily has money and she lets James access it for some reason, so he is able to pay his way out. But what does his way out mean? They clone him. They create a clone. Something we're going to dive into in other movies is talking about replicas. I love replicas in movies. The soul aspect. Does a replica have a soul? Does a replica carry weight for it to be alive? Because some movies, I think we can all think of some, it doesn't feel right to just get rid of a replica. In this movie, screw them. Screw the clones. Because this is what they do with the clones. If the wealthy can pay their way out, they get to sit and watch, which is insane. They get to sit and watch their clone be killed or executed by the child of the person he killed. So the farmer he killed, his son, executes James' clone. Crazy. This is foolery in itself. This is a system of foolery. They are letting people get away with crimes. Now, some people would watch this and be very unsettled and regret, and they would see this as, I was able to pay my way out, I will make a difference in the world. Sure. I still don't think it's right. I don't think this system, it's a way to make money. Sure. But this is not, in my opinion, justice for the families who have lost someone. This is not justice for the life lost. This is wealthy people getting away with shit, and it's horrible. And what we see here in James and Emily is so disturbed by what she's watching. James finds pleasure in it. And honestly, this is very Cronenberg to me. This is very David Cronenberg. You know, I see the relation in this because when I think about movies like Crash, there's a weird community and fascination and eroticism tied to witnessing very strange things. And that's what this feels like. Because it does go there. Okay, we're going to talk about that scene very briefly, but it does get erotic. When they get back to the hotel after everything is done, and by the way, they give you the urn of your clone. Again, so strange. There is an undertone in this movie, and maybe I'm just thinking too deeply in it. It's not something we're going to dig into, but I would love your input. Do you think we ever know if James is the real James or if he is the clone? What if it's the clone that gets to live? I'm just saying. I mean, I don't really think, but it makes you wonder, how can you know if somebody is still them or if they're the clone? You know? So they're back at the hotel with this urn, with this trauma, and Emily wants to leave. She's like, we need to get off this resort. They haven't even talked to Gabi and Alban yet, but they know we need to leave. Emily wants to leave.
All right, there's a shuttle to the airport in 15 minutes.
James seemingly can't find his passport. So Emily can leave, but he can't.
And if you want to go without me.
Emily, for a while, opts to stay with him, but there is deception here. There is foolery. James deceives Emily. He fools Emily because he hides his passport like under the toilet. Dirty dirtbag. Two literal meanings there. He hides it because he doesn't want to leave. I guess he likes what he saw. So he has already honestly fell into this without knowing how big that it is. And Emily just wants to get out. And instead of saying, I want to stay and letting her get out, he chooses to fool her. Does he fool her because he wants her there? I'm going to guess no, because she's in charge of the money. She should cut him off. She never seems to, but she should. This movie would have changed, and I think I might have actually enjoyed that twist if she cut him off. Let me know what you think. But he then seeks out Gabi, and Gabi is kind of a ringleader. She invites James to understand more. So as he's falling into this trap of being fooled by Gabi, he is not aware that he's being fooled. He's not being manipulated, I think, to the point where his choices are being made for him. He's had a lot of control. But he's choosing instead to fool Emily, the woman by his side. And ultimately, I think he's gonna fool himself. He's a fool. He's the fool. And then we have what I would describe as the playground. This is where the wealthy, the resort goers, this group, this little cult we have, fool everyone around them. They play tricks, it's mischief, but to an evil degree, to a violent degree, to a criminal degree. What I didn't know was you can actually keep doing this. As long as you have money, you can keep cloning yourself. They'll let you get away with literal murder, okay? There's no rules. And faced with this, that's what they choose to do. They choose to be evil, cruel people. It's like trophy hunting in a really strange way. It is very much the wealthy thinking the rules don't apply to them because there's a loophole created by a system that they can use so the rules actually don't apply to them. But even if you're wealthy, you have a choice. You have a choice. But they love it. And they have a group mentality now. Or are they being manipulated? Is there a leader? Is it really a choice to be doing this? So I do think there is a choice. I think you always have a choice. But as we're going to see, once you decide you want out, not that simple. James decides to go on these joyrides, and he is fooling the people around him. He's fooling his wife. He is being fooled, but he is very much in this kind of the eye of the storm, where he is a part of the storm. He is the intensity of the storm, but he's also where the storm is going to strike the hardest on him. Who am I, Shakespeare? It probably, when I edit it, it's probably going to sound more stupid than I thought it did, but they basically have a hall pass. So the deception here is these tourists, they get to come in here. And it's not just other tourists. They can hurt whoever they want. They can do this to whoever they want. And they do it. Because this legal system, it's just a luxury service. They're making money from it. It's fine, commit crimes, but we're going to make money from you. Disgusting. Okay, disgusting on all levels. All levels. There's no one to root for, but it's interesting to talk about. There is a part in this where I think the viewers, or at least I, was fooled, which I really enjoyed, because I like that there's deception within the movie constantly. There's deception that you can see. There's deception that is revealed later. There's deception that you didn't even know was there. And then the movie is also deceiving you. And it could be deceiving me deeper than what I'm thinking. Again, I'm taking a lot of this at face value. But one of the deceptions is they go in to get cloned because they went on a joyride and committed crimes, hurt people. The group is together. The people in charge say, we're not offering you that service anymore. You don't get that loophole. We don't want your money. You're gonna die.
You've tested the limits of our hospitality, and today I'm feeling inspired to make a statement.
And we watch them. We watch them die. We watch them with pain. Just to turn the camera, and the group is sitting on the benches, the bleachers, applauding. They love the performance. I was hoping they got what was coming to them. I was hoping there's a place where they draw the line. Not that we find out. There's no line to be drawn. If there's money to be made, do what you want, apparently. But I did really enjoy this deception from the director, from the movie itself. I thought they were going to get what was coming to them. But no, it's an even sicker. Like, imagine being so able to get away with this that you can actually play out the fantasy of not getting away with it like it's a show. It's sick. It's just sick. Emily leaves James. She doesn't want any part of this, but she is calling and checking on him. Again, he still has the money. He is expected to return home. He's still lying about the passport. It's a whole thing. I do find it interesting that you can pay to get yourself cloned, but you can't buy your way out of a passport. Maybe it's different rules for exactly where you are, but just something to think about. We are now getting to the part that I would say is ritualistic. We are starting to see the trials. We are starting to see James put to the test. Is he really in this? I mean, so far it seems yes. Part of the group trials, I guess, is to take hallucinogens. I think I'm saying that right. And have a beautifully shot sexual encounter. It looks beautiful, but it gets a little crazy. It gets a little, the visuals. There's these masks that are presented at the start about summoning, about the rain, and they wear these masks throughout. We see the mask, we see disfigurement. It's very interesting. But again, I'm looking at face value, but I do like that aspect. And James is enjoying himself. He's enjoying himself. He still has a wife. But screw her, right? James. The bigger test is they speak to James, and this is where I kind of question, because I'm sure I'm remembering correctly, but they say that the general is the reason that James cannot get his passport. And he goes along with this, yet he knows that he has his passport under the toilet. So is he trying to fool them and fit in and just buy into it? Because if that's the case, they kidnap the general and they tell James they want him to beat him up. And so they have him with like a bag over his head, just covering his face. And James is beating him up because apparently he wouldn't give him a passport, but you have your passport. So you just wanted to do this for either validation or because you are so caught up in this that you are feeling pleasure from it, which I think it's a bit of both. When they pull off, after a bit of a beating, they pull off the face covering. It's a general outfit, but it is James as a clone. They got a clone of him for him to beat up for this kind of fun little trick. James, this is the first time, I think, besides when he did the hit and run, we see him really visibly disturbed by what is going on. He's been pretty okay with everything, but this drew a line for him. I think it was a little bit of isolation. I think it was understanding that he wasn't really a part of the group in terms of knowing all the goings on. It was a little bit of a test. Could it be that having to hurt himself is a little bit different than seeing someone else do it? I don't know. But I don't think he liked the manipulation. I think when he realized he wasn't just being flattered and being welcomed, he was being manipulated. That's when he started to say, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not what I thought this was. I thought you wanted me to be here. But you want me to earn my way here. And I don't think James likes that. So he goes back to his room and he panics a little bit. And he decides he wants to leave. James has finally said, I've had enough. This is messy. I'm going to get my passport and I'm going to go. He's ignoring everybody there, taunting him. They're trying to get him. He seemingly gets on the bus and leaves to go to the airport. James does try to go to the airport, and you will notice that he doesn't tell the group he's going. He doesn't really try to communicate like it's been fun, but I'm out. He doesn't make a stance, because I think he realizes now that this was not a group where he's an equal. It's very evident how in charge Gabi is. But what I didn't know, and what I don't think James knew, is that it's not in charge to a point where they're just going to kick you out. You have to be in this. If they want you, if she wants you, you're there. You don't have a choice. So Gabi stops the bus. The group does. In their car, and it's a car chase. They go down. There's a gun. There's a clip of Mia Goth. James! James! Jamesy! It is, it's something. It's something. But James starts to realize that he has no choice. He doesn't get to go home. This was not a choice he made. He didn't join a group. He was indoctrined, I guess that's the word, to basically a cult. And he's done so much wrong. Can he really just go home? He's cheated, he's lied, he's killed again, he's enjoyed sick pleasures. Can you just go home, pretend it all didn't happen? We'll talk about that soon. They start to walk with him. He's walking up the road. She still has the gun. She's on the hood of the car, drinking. They're all celebrating. It's all funny to them. They don't take anything seriously. There's no deep conversations. These people aren't really caring about each other. It's about the pleasure they get. And James is not happy. He wants out. And he finds a way to run away. He runs away and he is bloody and bleeding because he does get shot. And he gets to this farmhouse. He has what I think is a dream about the farmer's boy, which I think, for me, starts to say there's guilt. I think guilt starts to appear when he dreams this. I think guilt is starting to seep in. I think he was so fooled by the pleasure, by the group, by the flattery, by being a part of something, that it kind of shut that part of his brain off. He didn't know he was being deceived from day one. But when Gabi stops him, when Gabi gets him off that bus, she reveals to him, I didn't read your freaking book.
I never read your book.
She said what she needed to say to get him where she needed to get him, and now he's here. And he doesn't get to leave. She wanted him. She picked him out. She wanted it, she got it. As Ariana Grande would say. I think his world came crashing down. I think reality kind of set in. And he had to come to terms with what he was doing, what he has done. But it's not enough for me. I don't think James redeems himself at all in this movie. But I do think it's a very interesting look into how fooled you can be. And how, when you're thinking about flattery and pleasure, and you've been somebody who's been so lost, uninspired for such a long time, when you discover that again, how you let that dominate your feelings, you let it dominate everything. You choose that over everything to the point where you block out reality. But when reality sets back in, you're probably worse off for it Because not only were you miserable before, you've done some shit. You've burned bridges. You've made things 100 times worse. You basically rode a high, so now your come down is even worse. But you did it to yourself. Were you manipulated? Yes. But you had a choice. For a while, now you don't really. There is a really strange scene here where they go to this farmhouse, they pull James out, they make James have to fight one of his clones, but this clone is animalistic. It's like a dog. And he has to fight it. First, he doesn't want to. It's a fight to the death, and he beats that clone to bits, man. It's hard to watch. And then he's crying, and Gabi gives him her breast to suck on, like a mother feeding a baby. That could be a bigger message. For me, again, I think it just reinforces that she is in charge. She can wear them down to the point where they depend on her. And it's done through the visualization of a mother feeding the child. Maybe it's more sexual than that. I did not take it as a sexual thing, but maybe it is. But at this point, I'm like, okay, James is back in. James is back in, whether he likes it or not. When we get to the end, it's time for everyone to leave the resort because they still have lives, they still have work. This is a trip. They don't live here forever and do this. They may stay for extended periods of time, but they pack up, they go to the airport, they're waiting for their flight, they're on the bus, and it is weird as heck. I don't know if I can say the F word. It is really weird. They sit on this bus, and the conversations they're having, they're like totally different people.
Gabi, what are you two doing when you go back to LA?
They are totally normal. It's like they flicked a switch. It's time to go back home. This is literally travel for them. It is relaxation. It is something they do on a routine. It is normal. But they know that they have to go back to their lives. And when they go back to their lives, they are not like this, I'm assuming, to a point that they look and act normally. My question, this is not something that's ever alluded to in the movie, but I think it would be really cool if for them to keep doing crimes like they want to do, they just let their clones go back home and act normal. They could just do that, but seemingly they're going to go home, pretend they're the normal people, they're who they are, they're these great people, or at least good people, at least not murderers. They're going to go home and act like this is all fine. We didn't just do all that. And then they're going to come back here and they're going to exploit tourism to be these horrible people. Horrible people. After everything James has been through, he has to see that. He has to see how they switched it off, how they can just go back to normal. And I think what we've seen is James is not able to do that. As soon as the blinds came down, is that the saying? As soon as the truth was revealed to him, not just about what he's doing, but why he was motivated to do it, how stroking his ego led to this, he can't do that. He can't turn it off. And that's why we see James on the resort in the rainy season. Oh, that's why they have to go home. The resort closes in the rainy season, I believe. But he stays. We think he stays. He just sits in the rain and the rain falls. He is not going home. He can't return. He has crossed the point of no return. He can't go back and live a normal life. He can't accept what he's done. Or he doesn't want to go back to that normal life. He doesn't want to go back to being that miserable. Maybe James, although he feels some guilt, and I think he doesn't want to be doing this, maybe he knows that going back there, he'll never find what he had here. It's a little ambiguous, and I don't know if I believe that. I believe more that he's reached a point of no return. He can't put on a mask. There's a lot of putting on a mask in this movie, literally, so I would assume that's part of it. I think he can't face himself in a normal setting. Because I just don't think he respects himself. I don't think he respects what he's done. I don't think he likes himself. Despite being miserable in who he was before all this happened, what he allowed to happen because somebody flattered him, he was fooled, he was manipulated, and he fell right into it. I just don't think he can live with it. And maybe he also just doesn't want to go back to his life because this is the peak. I mean, it is a high they come down from, but I don't know if I believe that because we do see James wanting to escape multiple times. But when faced with it, he doesn't. But I think it's because he sees the people he was with, how they act, and he realizes he can't. I think ultimately James is the fool in a sense of he fooled others. He fooled Emily. He was fooling others. He was buying into this. He was fooled himself by the group, by Gabi. But I think he's ultimately the fool because he doesn't know himself. He doesn't know who he is, his identity. Yes, you can clone and you can do these things, but at the end of the day, you are who you are. You have to sit with yourself. You have to live with yourself. And I think he's a shitty person. And I think he got a wake-up call. What I do like about this movie, and you could play with this concept, I have not, plot hole check this, but it would be interesting if these different stages of James, like the James that was really excited for all of this, the James that became afraid, the James that wanted to run away, etc., if they were clones, or if when you're cloned, you lose pieces of yourself. There's definitely something to play with in there, but ultimately, I think James is in a personal hell. When you think about stories of purgatory or this limbo space or hell itself, there's a lot of repetition or of being trapped in something you keep doing over and over. Like you get through this maze and you go up these stairs, these flights of stairs, and you open it and you're back on ground zero. Things like that. And I think with James, yes, you can do all this and you can clone yourself and you can do it all again, but you can't mentally go back. Even if you can get away with it, it doesn't erase it. And I think James has to live with that, and some people can. And that's just the truth of it. Those people who went home and they're going to act like ordinary people, this is their game. This is what they like to do. Sickos. As long as you have enough money, but I think something we didn't explore in this movie, which I kind of alluded to, which I would have liked to see, is what happens when you run out of money. Because I think you would also realize you're the fool. If Emily would have cut him off, he's toast. And I don't know why she didn't. I don't really think she likes him that much. I don't get that impression. I don't know if anyone else did from the movie. Side note, she is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But anyway, I think what I really believe about this, going into the witness testimony, I'm going to give my verdict before for some reason. Today, this is a very different movie. I just want to talk about it because I do like the conversations that can come from it. And when I asked for witness testimony, people weren't as invested, but I want you to give movies a chance to talk about, because not every movie is going to be plot point A to B and everything has to make sense and fit a narrative. Sometimes they're going to focus on very specific choices like this, because there were acts of manipulation, deception, fooling people. But I really do believe most of the fools, or the people who were fooled, or the fooling, whatever verb or action or person you're in that situation, I think you're also a willing participant. I do think Emily could have put her foot down way earlier. Now, she gets a shitty end of the stick, but she's not scot-free in this, you know what I mean? She could have put her foot down. James was actively fooling people and being a willing participant. Despite Gabi and the group thinking this is okay or knowing they can get away with it or whatever, I have to ask if they are being fooled. I mean, they're definitely manipulated within the group. There's definitely tension there. And they're obviously willing participants. But I also wonder how much of this wealthy choice, this luxury service, legal loophole, is fooling them. When you're getting this luxury loophole, you may think that you're above them because you're charging them for a service. Really, they're doing you a huge favor. But I do wonder, does anybody ask questions about this process? You do go into this pool thing and a weird thing happens. Like, are you sure you're you? Are you sure you haven't lost parts of yourself? Are you sure they're not using your likeness, deepfake AI region area in clone replica form? How do you know they're not using you and what you look like and your personality to do other things? I think you're so blinded by the benefits, you're not even considering that they could be fooling you. And I do think the citizens are being fooled. They must have some understanding of what's going on because the bleachers, to my understanding, were not hidden. So when he was killing James for killing his father and James was smiling, I'm sure he could know he was there and he was still alive. Now, the power imbalance there is different when we talk about willing participant and fool, but I don't think anybody wins here. I think it's cruel, and I think if you're a really sick person, you can be okay with this, but I think it all comes back around in some way or another. Because if you're going back to an ordinary life, think about the information, what a clone can do, what your record could do, if they just shipped that to your home country. I don't know. I just think even though that's not explored, you're not that safe. So now it's time for witness testimonies. Let me get this up. So I didn't get much feedback on this one. Again, this is where I ask you, even if a movie is not your cup of tea, if there's a movie that you don't think we can go that deep in, just think about it as a choice. Think about the choices. You don't have to go again from plot A to plot B. Really just hone in on the characters and the analysis, because when we look at it with a lens, I mean, I've been talking for 45 minutes on my camera. There is a discussion to be had. And I think that's why I like this movie and why I want to talk about it, because it did make me think. And it's okay to have a movie where everybody kind of sucks and it's just shitty, but we can still talk about it. But Jimmy V does give a wonderful, long witness testimony, so thank you. James just seems like a minor deviant who was tempted into more escalation. I don't like the word monster, mostly because I don't think it clarifies anything and it implies some grander moral truths in which I don't believe. He's basically a Macbeth kind of character we see in Scorsese films, Breaking Bad, Blow, Falling Down, etc., where they predictably drift further and further into the darkness and ask, how did I get here? Who have I become? So this is when I asked if James was a monster. I get what you're saying, and I understand that people do go down dark paths, and sometimes there's manipulation, sometimes they don't choose. It's not always nature, it's nurture. But I think you can become a monster. I think you do things, you make choices that can make you become a monster. Now, I don't know if James necessarily does anything. Like, yes, a hit and run is horrible, and you are a horrible person if you do that. To drink and drive and then hit and run, you suck. But I don't think in a evil sense, I don't think you're an evil person. You know, think about Riley, Midnight Mass. You know, I think there is some human there. You know, when I call you a monster, I mean kind of like Gabi. For me, Gabi is definitely more of a monster because she's also kind of like a cult leader. And should I have that on record thinking I think they're monsters? I'm pretty sure that's a maybe normal opinion to have, but I can see that he is the dissent. He is the dissent. He's the fool. And he has a little bit of a wake-up call. But, and I think maybe that's why he stays, is a wake-up call really enough? I asked if you all thought if the wealthy were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Jimmy says, I don't understand why you'd say that wealthy are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They're basically given an easy out. After that, nobody is forcing them to stick around and participate in more deviance. They're just tempted by it. Maybe you just meant the initial plan to get them to kill and then have money extorted from them. I guess if that's going on, that's kind of true. But again, after the process is done with, the rest of them is just breaking the rules. For this, I definitely meant the choice. Because if you were in this situation, and really any character in a horror or just film or story that we're being told, it's an easy out if you have money. If you don't have money, it's not an easy out. We're talking about your life. If you could be cloned and have your easy out, move on with your life, would you do it? I don't really think it's much of a choice. Are there some people that would maybe take the consequences? Maybe. Am I misunderstanding? Is the consequence to be killed? Or is the consequence just jail? Either way, if you were offered this and it was a normal thing and you had the money, would you do it? I feel like it's a choice, but is it really a choice? It's life or death. But after that, and even how you view that choice, that defines you. If you are given a second chance because you have money, annoying, but it happened in this movie. If you're given a second chance, what you do with it speaks volumes. That's not between a rock and a hard place, okay? That's an easy choice to make. Don't hurt people. James accidentally hurts somebody, ends up in this situation. But the fact is given this opportunity and even being able to see it play out, he gave into temptation. He gave into everything. But he didn't have to do that. He didn't learn from it. And that's the risk of giving this choice or really forcing your hand if you have money. This can result in worse things. But is it a bad thing if you're going to make more money? For them, apparently not. Because they just let it keep going. There's no 3 strikes and you're out. They're like, yeah, come again next year and do it again. Jimmy V also says, I agree with the general premise that the rich get away with shit and due to a lack of consequences are encouraged to continue doing so. But the film has a flimsy way of showing that and doesn't say a whole lot more on the subject. Personally, I actually think the movie does a great job at showing this just because it shows how, one, kind of group mob mentalities work, how you can fall into kind of cult areas, or even if we don't call it a cult, if we just call it a group of people, how easily you can be manipulated. And when you are out of sight, out of mind, when you feel like you're above, they are not going out into the town and facing the people they've hurt. They're waking up on a resort and having breakfast. This is all fun for them. There's no real reality. It's this own little bubble of illusion that they feed off each other. Put people in a group who all like the same bad thing and watch them go batshit crazy, okay? You feed off each other's energy, and when all that energy, nobody is saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. It's kind of like peer pressure, but you're not knowing you're pressuring each other because maybe somebody's feeling a little bit, they wake up in the morning, I don't know if I should do that today. But you get there, everybody's drinking mimosas, and they're like, we're going to go do it later. Sometimes it really does just erase it out of your head, and you go do it. To this level is insane, I will say that. But I also like that it reveals the illusion of a choice. This is an illusion of a choice because there's nothing that the legal system draws a line on. These people are wealthy. So if you said, hey, I'm going to run out of money, they'd pay for you. If you said the legal system is going to punish me on the 3rd try, they know that's not true. There's no leverage to get out of it. And then if you personally want to get out of it, it doesn't fit their game. It doesn't fit their narrative. And like I kind of alluded to, they go back to being ordinary. You are somebody who knows about this. You could speak up. So being a part of this group and doing everything they want is one, kind of grooming and preying on people. Gabi literally picked James out of a crowd and said, I want him. But it's also making sure that you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I do think there's this ritualistic cult mentality. And then I think the ending really represents or shows how disgusting this really is. This is not people staying or this force of nature keeping them there, making them evil. This is luxury. It's one of those movies where, I know there's movies about hunting people for sport. I haven't watched them, but I know they exist. This is kind of like that. This is a luxury trip because they can get away with it. They don't value the lives of others, and they have friends to do it with. So I actually really like it. I think there's a lot of discussions. It is a little surreal, and a lot of it is ambiguous. But I think for me, with movies that are not crystal clear, they make me think a little more, and I enjoy them. But I definitely understand if this wasn't your movie or you didn't like this video or this episode, but no movies off the table for me, okay? If there's something to talk about it, I'm gonna talk about. But there's some exciting ones coming up. We're going to be doing The Wicker Man, Return of the Living Dead, and a few more exciting ones that I can't wait for. So there's a form below if you want to put in your requests, and I will see you in the next one. This was Horror on Trial.